right, Luca
One
Nation.
sec.
We are live. I hold for nobody. I apologize. We got to do a quick episode today of Lucas Tigers and Bronze because if it's over, 20 minutes here, Ian might beat the living life out of some kid in the schoolyard. Cage kept him there extra hours. So we want to welcome you guys back to another episode of Lucas Tigers and Bronze. Oh my, Cage.
Yo.
I was so close, but yet so far with that St. Louis Cardinals prediction.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, this is the fun part about, one game eliminations. It really didn't come down to those starting pitchers. They both played very, very well. The managers each went their own different way. One took Scherzer out early. One stayed a little later with Wainwright. It came down to bullpens. It came down to an unlikely hero. I mean, Taylor, of all the people you'd think of in that Dodger lineup that would do something there. That's not the guy most people would think. So,
all right, well, we're getting to the fun stuff. So, I mean, Astros fans, they love to see the Yankees knocked out. The Astros, somehow they're still in the playoffs. Give me some predictions. I mean, you got Astros, White Sox today, Red Sox, Rays. You think the Red Sox have a chance?
No. The Rays are just too disciplined. They'll bore you to sleep. You'll be watching and nothing's going on. Next thing you know, you look up, it's the sixth inning and it's 5-0 Rays. It's just what happens. They don't really kill you with anybody specific. They just find a way to kill you. They bore you to death pretty much. But yeah, man, I mean, listen, what do I think? I think it's going to be the Astros and the Rays. I think it's going to be competitive. And I think the Rays take it. The Astros have lost talented pieces over the years and yet still find a way to win. They got, the real kudos to the organization. They take their hits, and they just keep winning. They also play in a pretty weak division, but it is what it is. So on the other side of the coin, I'm looking forward to the Giants, man. I'm looking forward to the Giants-Dodgers. I mean, that's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting to see because, I mean, you don't really get to see 106 win and 107 win teams play each other. I mean, that's pretty crazy. These are like the two winningest teams in baseball going to play each other in the division round. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see. The Dodgers have a lot of star power and the Giants don't. On that side of the coin, I think that the team that comes out of that series is going to represent the National League in the World Series. Not saying too much. The Braves are now probably the easiest out. And I still think it sets up now for a Dodgers Rays series again. So
I love it. A couple few quick announcements here. So we will be back on Whatnot this weekend, Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Not sure if Cage, if your internet's cutting in and out, maybe it's on my end, but we'll be there. NFL plays, daily fantasy, having fun. Cage might be making more elephant noises and stuff like that, but every Sunday, 10 a.m. we'll be on. And we got some awesome games coming up, really awesome games. It's kind of an interesting time in sports.
What do you think of tonight's
So
game?
You got Rams Seahawks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Rams Seahawks. I got Carson. Is he starting? I don't even know. Dude's got a bad neck injury. I mean, I draft two running backs and they're both terrible, and now one's injured. So.
I think the line's pretty accurate. Like, I think that they're going to be incredibly on with the total and with the spread, right? It's like -2.5. So I see this being a field goal game. I mean, we've talked about this game. It's the toughest division in football. All the teams are good. Rams, they go out, they beat the Buccaneers, they slap them, and then they get slapped by the Cardinals. And now they have to turn around on a short rest to meet the Seahawks in Seattle, where Russ has been unstoppable all year, nine touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I would tell you, if I'm playing it, I would tease Seattle up to +9, +9.5, if you could, if you're asking for me for the play, because I think it's going to be right into that, like, field goal game coming down to the wire, who could execute, and my nerves aren't ready for something like that. So if I'm playing, I would tease.
I think it's the over.
Tease the over and tease it down and tease Seattle.
All right, that's cool. That's a good one. So you got a play for today? You got any other topics? I mean, we've got baseball, we got football show on Whatnot this weekend. It's going to be awesome, like you said. We're having fun. We're having a lot of fun with those picks, those plays. It's a fun hour and a half show. Sell some cards way too cheap, just because who cares? And you get the banana hat out, which is always fun. You get the Andrews Bananas play of the week. which he hit on last week, which is just bananas in and of itself. And yeah, I mean, it's fun. You wake up Sunday morning, listen to the show, put your wing order in, and watch football all day. What's better than that?
I will tell you, I was thinking about PSA today and how important they are to the hobby and how dull things are in terms of volatility, right? Like, we always talk about markets, and I know true collectors, the guys that could buy a card and sit for 3 years and sit on their hands and not do anything. Those are a rare breed, and I respect them a lot. But like the rest of us who love action, PSA really does bring a lot of action, because
Yes,
if
it
you
does.
really think about it, regardless if you're making money on those cards or not, it's just like one big savings account, right? That comes flooding back to you, right? So you're like, you deposit money with PSA, and then after like a year, you're like, oh my God, I didn't even account for this money. Now I get to use it and spend it, right? So it's really interesting how important these grading companies are to volatility, liquidity, cash flow, getting these base cards and lower end cards kind of moving, because right now there's just so much supply. And what's really moving, other than, maybe one guy having a huge game here and there.
What's funny, dude? You've hit a nail on the head. I'm not thinking about it right now. I'm thinking about it 6 months from now. It's about where I'm thinking about it. And here's why. And, this will be a fun episode. And we might have to clip this at some point 6 months from now and see whether or not I'm right. But I look at my own PSA account, and I got grades this morning at 2 a.m. Remember, I told you something's been in QA2. It was just a 30-card order, just random stuff from, Ian and I opening up. The thing was inputted in October, which means I actually sent it to them in like August of last year. So, I mailed it out over a year ago, and it's now basically logged in by them about a year. It's about a week or two shy of a year. By the time I get it back, they will have logged it in over a year after I got it back. 30-card ultra modern order. And I saw the grades and I started looking up the cards, and I'm like, okay, I mean, some of these cards I don't think I'd send in now for the prices, but for what I paid, the $9, $10, $12, whatever the heck it was, it makes sense. Like I opened up a box of Donruss Soccer, right? And I got a Cristiano Ronaldo press proof. Just a 2018 Donruss, not numbered, but a cool, like card. And I got a 10. And I look it up, it's like, $200, $150, whatever it is. I'm like, all right, that'll go. I'll sell that. I don't need that. A Gio Reyna Bundesliga Chrome 10. Jadon Sancho, Bundesliga Refractor 10. I got 25 10s out of 30, right? Which is awesome. 2 of the cards were Optic box. Ian and I opened a box of 2018 Optic football. And 2 of the non-10s were the red-yellow Josh Jacobs. I got a 6 on one and a 9 on another. I missed something, I guess. But, I mean, it's cool because, you're getting these cards back, and it's like, I don't know if you remember this, but right when we first started doing the show, I got a Ben Baller box. Remember, I opened up Ben Baller box. I don't know. I won it. Like I hit the lottery for like getting like, oh yeah, you got one. It was like $200. I got a Mike Trout 1985 tops in there, and I got a Lou Bob base. I sent them in like in August of last year, and those were in there. They're both 10s. I'm like, all right, that's $150, $200, like nothing crazy, but exactly what you're talking about, right? That there's some excitement. There's some look at the grades. I'm going to get back a couple boxes of cards. I'll give Ian some, the 6. Josh
and
Jacobs
that Lou Bob, just to touch on Lou Bob, you're not even able to sell him for peak prices now because he hasn't had a good year. But imagine submitting a card like this used to happen, right? You would gamble on a player, you would submit his card, you would hit a PSA 10, and it would be perfect timing with the player
in that
peak.
season. Yep, yeah, just the peak of the player, the whole deal. But
that was awesome.
That's amazing if you could do it. It's just gone. But I only have one more personal in that they logged in October 14th. Also 30 cards, nothing, like Pokemon stuff. And then we started doing the Lucas Tigers subs. And that was November.
Which have done pretty well. Like our the people who subbed us have done pretty well with those.
My play today was a card that I saw that just came back for one of our subbers. They got a 9 on. Now I didn't even remember this card. And it's going to be my play today. But we did that for 5 or 6 months. So I figure in 5 or 6 months, maybe March, maybe February, PSA will be all caught up. But then you're going to have a situation where everyone who's like us, who's like you or me, who was sending in these cards and was getting them back, and you're getting now there's nothing to come back. Like, we haven't submitted anything from March until October now. You know what I mean? So what do we do? Where's that liquidity? Where's that savings account, like you said, where it's excitement and it's cards and it's cards coming back in from me to sell and, continue to provide liquidity, and I can sell those cards and buy stuff on auction and buy and sell them and buy more on eBay and open up Wax. And there's going to be a period there where folks like me aren't getting back anything. It's interesting. I'm curious to see what happens.
I hope good things happen. I hope
maybe PSA opens back up.
Well, I'm starting to buy. So I made a little money on NFTs. I mean, the podcast is doing well. We're working hard. I'm trying to reinvest. So I'm buying cards. I just bought a Edward Silver Prism PSA 10. I think I'm going to be adding more Michael Porter Jr. to my collection. I'm going to be doing a little bit of prospecting because I don't want to buy anything that's like 1 or 2 years out. I want to buy something that has a 30, 60, 90, 180-day turnaround on it. So I'm starting to rebuy. So I don't know if that's exciting, if that's a tell of, other people are doing it too. But I know it's interesting. It's interesting. It's an interesting time in the hobby, isn't it? But you've gone through a few of these cycles where it's boom, quiet, boom, quiet. So I think that's where patience comes in, right? This might be the time where you're educating, you're learning, you're watching the markets, you're tracking, you're working on kind of what I call the fundamentals, so that when there is a period where it's booming again and there's FOMO and people are buying, you're ready, you're prepared. So it could be that,
My hope is that PSA gets back into the game, right? Because they shut down and they're clearing their backlogs, and they find a price point and the number of cards that they can hit on a weekly basis. You know what? There's nothing to be ashamed about learning from what a competitor has brought into the equation. You know what I mean? HGA, for all their faults, for all their fun, the queue system that they had, where they identified how many cards they could turn around in a week, and they only allowed that many people to grade at a price. Why can't PSA institute something like that? Whether it's through group subbers or not through group subbers, why can't they institute a limit? Why can't they institute, okay, we're only taking this many in this week? I'm sure they can, and that would avoid a backlog or help to avoid a backlog, hopefully. And if they increase their capacity, then they can increase that number of time. And that will allow them in February or January or March or whatever it is to open things back up. And if they don't do it that way, then just slowly turn the spigot back on in certain areas. How about just modern? Maybe don't turn on ultra modern just yet for a value or a bulk economy style subs. You know what I mean? Like, turn something on. Sure. That way, everybody can kind of get, I'm sure they're going to want to, because right now they haven't felt any impact of it on their bottom line at all, because they're still generating the money because they bill when the cards are graded. So their money that they're billing today is the same as it was last month. It might even be more, because they're just churning through the backlog. But eventually that backlog gets eaten up. They're not going to be able to bill as much. They'll have to balance that out.
I'll never understand how somebody with that much money lives. So, like, I know it'll take me quite some time to get to that level of Nat Turner in the hundreds of millions. I get it. So, but I do believe that businesses have more of a responsibility than just to make money. And I think when you go private, I actually think that might be an opportunity to do more right for your customers versus doing right for your shareholders, right? When you're a public company, you do right 90-day cycles. You want to do right by your shareholders. When you go private, it's a real opportunity to ask yourself this question. I hope you do, but who knows if they do. Okay, what can we do to give back to our community? What does the hobby need? What does the sports card community need? I do believe that when you have the resources, the power, the connections that the offices of PSA have, that should be a question in addition to, hey, let's make some money, because money's great, but can we give back? Can we stimulate the economy? Can we do something for the sports card community that brings everyone together, that gets people excited again? Because that's important as well.
I agree entirely. And, I think they've been, good at that. They've definitely been much more customer facing. You could see that much more customer friendly under Nat. You got to love the stuff like coming on shows more and being more accessible. I love the stuff that he puts out there on his own personal Instagram. That's more of a collector thing than PSA, but it's almost one and the same. Where he opens up a box of metal, and that it's humanizing, right? It's a cool thing. It's somebody who's at the helm.
I don't know what's so humanizing about the cards that Nat Turner has. They don't make me feel any.
Just rip the box. It's expensive.
He shows off 10 and 20, 30, 40, $100,000 cards. I don't. What does that do for me as a peon in the hobby?
Well, it allows you to see a card you otherwise might not have seen. It would have been locked away in a collector's vault at some point in time. He also puts PSA 8s up.
You know what would be really cool, Cage?
What do you want him to give it to you?
No, instead of showing off the collection you have, it's hey guys, picking 20 of my followers to give a free sub to. So we're not opening up all the way, but I'm gonna pick 20 followers, do a random giveaway, and you guys will be able to send in some cards to get graded.
Yeah, that's definitely it's cool. The only thing is, you've seen with giveaways and stuff like that, smart communities see through that stuff, right? And then you might have 1 or 20 people who are happy with you for the giveaway, but the rest of the people are like, well, why can't I win? If you're able to open, just open for us. Or you're able to, you're almost in a damned if you do, damned if you don't spot. Come on, what do you give back? You're right. I'll never own the cards, but I thought that Nat's top 100 cards from the National was a cool thing. I think you commented on it also. That's a cool thing.
Yeah, but that was one thing 2.5 months ago, or a month and a half ago.
Well, maybe what they're doing for the community is working through the backlogs. I just got my grades on. I know it's a year old, but maybe they're working through the backlogs and they're doing what they can to open back up. I'm not in a position to defend those guys because I can't see what's going on behind the factory walls at Willy Wonka. My assumption is that they are right now trying to clear as much of the backlog as they can. This way they can just open the gates again. And that I think if you polled every consumer out there, very few would take a giveaway of a sub over them saying, we're going to open as soon as we possibly can and start this thing all rolling back up again, but responsibly this time so we don't get right back into the same hole that we dug ourselves last time. I think that's what they can give the community. I think you're right. There are some smaller, little things that can be done also. But they are still a business. So
I am investing in Michael Porter Jesus.
Nice.
And I think there's a lot of teams in the Western Conference, but I think there's only one team that they're built to have early season success is how I'd word it. Lakers are going to struggle, I believe, early in the season. Same with the Warriors. Both are built to have great seasons, but I believe both of those teams will come out like 50%, 60% through the first 30 games. Suns, we've talked about the short off season, playing into the finals. That is tough. Now you have a Nuggets team that's a little bit pissed off coming back with the best player in the NBA. I don't care what you guys say. Jokic is the MVP, and he earned it.
You were saying Michael Porter Jr., the MPJ
no,
the best
Jokic
player. I was like, what?
It's funny how it works, right? Like when you have somebody that's not as marketable as Jokic, he gets discredited for being the best player. But if you look at his stats, you look at his contribution to the team, that guy is a problem on offense and on defense. He is top 3 best players in the NBA, and I think it's hard to argue that. And I think Michael Porter stands to benefit off that because Jamal Murray is going to be on limited minutes. He's coming off that ACL injury. They just talked about how they want him to be the most improved player, so they're putting a little pressure on him. They're giving him responsibility. You know how important that is working at a corporation. You have someone come in, they get trained, and then you say, all right, you're running with, corporate claims 1037643.
We're trusting you. Prove us right. We're letting you. We're giving you more responsibility. Prove us right that we're believing in you. That's what the team is saying to him. We're going to give you more responsibility. We're giving you more to do this time. Don't make us look a fool. And that's cool, man.
I like this card. So this card is $40 at a PSA 10. So usually Chronicles are just hideous. This is a really nice looking Chronicle. I'm trying to do my best I can.
That's the Luminance one, right? So it's the Luminance from That's the one where the same one that Ja has the dunk on, right? So Luminance is its own product. Chronicles has like their own version where all of the cards are combined into it. So the one you're looking at is a Chronicles version of that Luminance card. It's pretty cool. That's what I just got back with a Ja one from the HGA grading. Same Chronicles,
Did
Luminance.
You get not 9.5 on his missed dunk?
I think it was a 9. I think it was a 9. Maybe 9.5. I don't remember.
By the way, if you're out there and let's say you're a Ja collector, just pulling that from the air, and I didn't like Ja, that doesn't mean I'm a bad person or that we should stop being friends. So Michael Porter Jr., Chronicles. Take a look at the court side. The court side's a little pricey. It's like $3,000 for a PSA 10. The silver
You always
court
like
side.
those. You always like those court sides. They're rare.
But here's why: if you buy that for $3K, and he really does have the season we might expect and above, like let's say the season we expect now is 22 points per game, 7 rebounds, like 2 assists. But if he's in contention for leading scorer in the league, which seems crazy, but it's not as crazy as we think about it. Maybe that courtside you're able to sell in the hype for 11,500, right? You're able to get a nice payday off 3K. So it is a bit of a risk, but I do believe that your upside is greater. You could also go on the lower end. I love the art. It's a $40 card in a PSA 10. That's my play. And if you want to go base prism, go base prism.
I like it. So I'm going to go completely other end of the spectrum on you guys. And if Andrew could pull up 2 of these, that would be great. If not, no big deal, because I know the internet's a little crazy. But you guys will look at them at home. If we can do it, great. So there's 1996 and 1997. My play is 1997. The 1996 are cool too. It's going to depend on what you like, what your style is. If you like more color, it'll be the 1996. If you like more like that acetate, it'll be 1997. It's funny. I gave to Topps Gallery, the Gallery of Heroes kind of thing as a play once, because people were looking at stained glass and it was one of those like see-through, like, acetate kind of cards, and people bought them. They're really cool, the Topps Gallery cards. This 1997 Skybox Slam Cam is the one that's more see-through. The 1996 is the one that's more colorful. So we just had a Luca Nation sub come back, and one of our subbers sent in a Michael Jordan 1997.
Hey, what's it called?
1997 Skybox Slam Cam, like SLAMCAM. Kobe has one, so you can just put any one. It doesn't have to be Jordan. Just put 1997 Skybox Slam Cam. You can pull up a Kobe if you want. It's more a play.
This Shaq one that's beautiful.
Shaq is cool too, and if you pull up like a cool picture of him where like someone's holding it up, you can see that it's like translucent, right? You can see through it. It's one of these like acetate type of cards where you can kind of see through. Which is, there's not a lot of those now, and it, reminds me of like I said, the stained glass or those Topps Hero ones, and it's supposed to be almost like it looks like a piece of film, like slam camera, it's supposed to be made like old style film. So there's the Jordan one. It's got a cool checklist, right? You see one? Yeah. So somebody's holding it up. Who is that? Garnett, maybe? Tumbo, Garnett. And yeah, I mean, so you can kind of see through. It looks like a black and white like film negative.
It's a gorgeous card. Can't hear you, Cage. Go. Beautiful, beautiful card. Look at that. Kevin Garnett. Why did they use? I always wonder who chooses these pictures. Like, why would you use this photo for him? I don't know where Cage went, but there's our plays. Michael Porter Jesus. Think he's going to be in contention for most improved player.
Yeah, so I like that card that you have there, that piece of film looking thing. If you guys are more colorful now, right? The 1996 one, it's also Slam Cam, so it's a repeat, right? It is and by the way, Kobe has a 97. It's like much shinier, much more, chromy. There's green ones, so if that's your style, also the Slam Cam. These are not expensive. So the Jordan one in the PSA holder that you just had was like $249 or something like that. The lesser guys are not killer. It's, I am deep in the weeds now in the 90s inserts. I think that it's, it's one of those things where, you talked about the Marvel, precious metals. We've seen precious metals and we've seen jambalaya. I mean, I just saw the Jordan jambalaya, which was available when I first started collecting for like $3,000 or $4,000. I sell for like 80 grand recently. The Kobe one was up for the longest time. I think people are looking at these 90s inserts now, the electrifying, that's jam, power in the key, scoring kings. Like, these are cool things with a little nostalgia on them. And these cards they're interesting. I didn't even know about this one. 96, 97. Like, these were not cards. I was in college. These were not cards that I was personally collecting. I was more like 93, right? So I was more scoring kings. And these came a little after, so I didn't even know about these, but they're cool. So when I see a card like that, thanks to our submitters, I say, all right, that's a cool little different type of card. So that's my play for today. Check out those Slam Cams from 96 and 97 Skybox.
A little PSA talk. Michael Porter Jr., Slam Cam will be on Whatnot Sunday morning. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. We'll be back tomorrow.